to the latest episode of my 10-minute rants. Now, this one, the topic is some really peculiar details about Nadia El Nakla, who's better known as Humza Yousaf's wife, the First Minister of Scotland's wife. And recently, what they started hearing about it, October, we heard a lot in the news about Nadia's family in Gaza, as the trouble started there after the Hamas had butchered about 1,200 people in Israel, and obviously the conflict kicked off. And since then, I've heard a lot about her family in Gaza. And something's just been sitting in the back of my head thinking, this doesn't add up. And when I can't join the dots using common sense and logic, my wee inquisitive head often goes off down a rabbit hole, trying to join the dots using common sense and logic. It's the way my head works. So there's a couple of things that are just no tying together with this carry on with his wife, Humza's wife, and the whole Palestine thing. So I'm going to run through some stuff just to point out some facts. Now, a lot of them you already know, and I'll apologise beforehand for going over old ground, but it's just to put everything, to line everything up, to see where my head has been with this one, and then a couple of very peculiar facts once we do that. So, Nadia, who is she? Nadia's mum is Dundonian. Nadia is either 39 or 40, depending on which sources you listen to. So, as you say, 40. It's far easier to count from 40. So, she's 40, and her dad is described as Palestinian. And obviously, she has at least one brother who's currently in jail waiting to go to court tomorrow for some drugs charges. So he's 36 from memory, and I believe she has at least one other brother who is in Dundee area. So don't know what age she is, but she's 40. One of her brothers is 36. And he's not in Palestine, obviously. He's in the Nick in Dundee. So just to run through chronological order, in October 23, when the conflict kicked off, her mum and dad were both in Palestine, described as visiting family. On the 2nd of November, the Scottish Government made a second donation to Gaza of £250,000, which gave total £750,000 of aid to Gaza in the space of weeks, because the conflict only kicked off towards the middle of October. And within weeks, the Scottish Government had gave them £750,000. And the second tranche of this had came on the 2nd of November. By the 5th of November, Nadia's mum and dad had arrived back in the UK. So you've got to kind of think they left either the 4th or potentially the 3rd of November. And obviously they came through the Rafah crossing into Egypt and then home. So that must have happened around about the 3rd or the 4th, which would be 24 hours after the second, and a lot of donations came. So the 16th of November, almost a fortnight later, Nadia is in Turkey. And she's meeting the Turkish First Minister, the Turkish President's wife, and the Turkish First President. In December 23, at the COP meeting, her husband, the First Minister of Scotland, met in an unofficial meeting with the Turkish President. And now, fast forward to January, Nadia has done some quite emotional work to camera and to papers about her Palestinian family who have reached Turkey. And her sister-in-law and 4 children are currently in Turkey. And Nadia wants them to be given safe passage to the United Kingdom. Okay, so that's sort of where we're up to. Now, there's obviously some questions that people would have, normal-minded people would have in the schedule that I've just read out to you there. The first would be, did this £750,000 help in some way to release his parents? Because they actually came out through a closed border in the first tranche of UK citizens. Now, if UK citizens were all eventually given safe passage, but his parents were in the first tranche, 24 hours after. Now, I've done a whole video on that. If you go on the page channel's page and look at the 10-minute ones. Just look for the most popular one. It's that one, and it talks about £750,000 in more detail. And the other thing is these discussions with Turkey help, because his wife has now declared that the Turkish government helped get her sister-in-law and the 4 children out of the Gaza. It's there, it's documented. You know, she's put her hands up and said that happened. So all these things. Now, I'm not saying it would be difficult if you had family in a war zone, and you were in a position where you could help these things become safer. I get that, but £750,000 is a lot of money, and doing deals with Turkey when your husband's job doesn't entail doing any deals with anybody. In fact, completely opposite, is not to get involved with foreign affairs, because you can't have 2 lots of foreign affairs and 2 lots of foreign affair campaigns going on, one for Scotland and one from Westminster. That just beggars belief. However, I do get, it'd be difficult not to try and influence. So now that's the facts out the road, right? We now get to, well, what's in my head? What's been bothering my head? Well, the first thing is, it can't be a brother. Because, sorry, the brother is still in Gaza. His name was on the list to get released from Gaza to go to Turkey, but for some reason, his name came off the list, so he's still stuck in Gaza. But he's not a brother. That's 100% not Nadia's brother. And I'll tell you very simply why it's not a brother. If the guy stuck in Gaza, that's apparently a doctor, was Nadia's brother, who would have a Dundonian mother and a Palestinian father, he would be classed as a UK citizen the exact same way as Nadia is, and her other brother, her full brother, who is in the nick. In Dundee right now, they are British. Brother and sister, born to a Dundonian mum and a Palestinian dad, are British. This guy, whoever he is definitely not British. Because if he was British, he wouldn't need the help of Turkey to get him and his family out of Gaza, and he would be able to go, and he would have been able to leave before Christmas like every other UK citizen. You're not your brother. Now, it might be your half-brother. And having your half-brother in the headlines, it's just not as cuddly and easy to and you wouldn't get as much sympathy if it was your full brother. I'm not saying that your half-brother, you love him any less or your relationship's any less. I'm not suggesting that for a minute. But newsworthiness, half-brother, full brother, bit of difference there. So please stop telling lies to the Scottish, British, Turkish and Palestinian people that your brother is a doctor in Palestine, because he evidently isn't. Now, he might be your half-brother, that's a whole different thing. So let's just get the facts right, if you don't mind. And the other thing is, I've been trying to find out what age this Palestinian brother, half-brother, possibly half-brother, what age he is. Because your mum and dad have obviously been together for over 40 years, because you're 40. So you would guess about 41 years minimum they've been together for you to have been produced in that marriage, and you're 40 years of age. Now, I don't know if you've got any other pure siblings who might be older than you. I don't know. So I can only use 40 as my starting point here. But bear with me. So this half-brother, you would kind of think, well, your mum and dad are still together, so if your dad had a child with another relationship, they've got to be a bit older than you, minimum older than you. And I can't find his age anywhere. What I can find, though, is his 4 children who are currently in Turkey are ranged between 6 months and 9 years old. Don't think the guy's 50, right? If I'm being perfectly honest with you. Don't know if he's the same age as you. Don't know if he's younger than you. But I do know he's got 4 kids between 6 months and 9 years. People tend to start their families when they're in their 20s. It's getting a bit weird, isn't it? Unless he's 60. Unless he's my age, when he's 50s and he just happens to have started a family when he was 41 and was still producing kids when he was 50. I don't know. But I find it a bit weird. I think it's more probable that he's about ages with you. Now, if he's ages with you and you share a father, but you don't share a mother, how's that possible? Your dad get 2 wives. Now, your mum must take this family close, because when they were kicked off in Gaza, your mum and your dad were both in Gaza visiting these people who look like they're your half sibling, and his obviously extended family. And I just find this all bizarre. It is totally bizarre. There's questions there about the 750. There's questions there about your involvement with Turkey, and her husband's involvement with Turkey. And then there's this brother who's obviously 100% guaranteed not your full brother. Because if he was, he wouldn't be stuck in Gaza. He'd be a British citizen. So he might be your half brother. And then it adds more questions. Well, how can you have a family that young if you're 40? You know, and you would imagine you'd need to be a bit older, because not a product of your mum and dad. So is your dad, I don't know, does he get 2 wives? I don't know. But please stop telling lies to the British public to get everybody to feel a wee bit more sorry for you. Having even a half brother in Gaza must be a pretty shitty thing at this point, right? Especially when you've got another brother in the nick for something to do with drugs, right? So you've got a lot on your plate, I get that. But why do you need to not just say the truth? But you've got this half brother. What's the problem? What are you hiding? Is it just... do you get more of a victim card if it's your full brother than half brother? I don't know. I don't think so. I just think if you're in a relation that's in a bit of a shitty situation, it doesn't really matter. But I'm not the one that's going to press and sit in front of cameras talking, you know, in the tearful interviews about my brother. It's you that's made that decision to describe him as your brother. And for what reason, I am totally unaware. But please stop talking nonsense. But then, you're a councillor in Dundee, and you're encouraging the folk for Dundee to talk to lampposts and bus stops. So, aye. Yeah, you're obviously not of stable mind. Anyway, hope your brother gets bail Monday. And your other, whatever he is, but he's not your brother, that's a doctor that's stuck in Gaza. Stop talking nonsense. He's not your brother. Just tell us the truth. We're big people. And the more, it's not the biggest lie in the world either, but the more untruths you tell that eventually come out, because untruths always come out, it just puts more shite your husband's way. Do you know what I mean? But there's another weird thing. Both of you have been married before, and the circumstances of those 2 marriages breaking down is probably going to be a subject of a future video, because that's bloody weirder than weird as well. And people break up all the time. You know, I was married before, and these things happen, but you don't get to be as, you know, I'm trying to think of the word to use. You don't get to stand up and judge others like your husband does, and you as well, as strongly when you've got some strange things going on in your past. Okay? So, if you liked the video, guys, give it a thumbs up, please. If you want to see more, hit the subscribe button and the notifications. And down about here somewhere, there'll be some recommended videos if you want to watch more of my videos. But if you've not seen the 750,000 Gaza one, I would recommend you go and see that. But the most important thing of all, have a great day. Bye now.